There you go. How are you?
Good, good. How are you? How's everything? How are things?
Very good. Very good. It feels like forever ago, but it was only a couple months ago that you were here. So, have
Time
you been doing
flies.
a lot of traveling since?
A little bit. I'm always looking on new cities to open. So we've been trying to, over the last few years, expand outside of Poland. So a lot of traveling, sightseeing, and seeing what else we can do. So
Very
yeah, a little
cool.
bit.
Everybody was thrilled to have you at the conference, and you were like a big hit. So, I'm really excited about this.
Cool. Glad I could make it happen. But I really enjoyed going. So, well, it was my first time in Minneapolis, but in general, I really enjoyed the conference. And I think one of the questions you have was why make the jump basically
Yeah.
across the pond. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's the first food hall conference specifically for food halls. I know in the UK there have been a few conferences, but they're usually also with POS system, but focus on more about that technology and how it can be implemented than the niche that are food halls in itself.
Yeah. That was intentional. We really made an effort to not make it a software pitch because that's not really what people are interested in.
I think it was a great way to basically, as you said, by bringing people together, you have the best opportunity anyway to share, and you have living, walking, breathing commercials for your
Yes.
software.
Yeah, no, it was great. And actually, that was my first time in Minneapolis too. I'd never been there before. And
I could imagine. As I understand, it's not that big of a. It's only about 500,000, I think. But I guess the other city connects, and but yeah, I was a little maybe not disappointed, but I saw that there was not much happening in the downtown. As you said, it's very quiet, and then you had little pockets of activity on the west and by the
yeah,
school, the university. So
yes,
it was
yeah.
interesting. The downtown is usually a little bit more livelier.
And where did you come from? So you had been in the US?
Yes. So I flew to Minneapolis and then I took a drive down to Ames, Iowa,
Nice.
3 hour drive down a very straight road through a lot of
Yeah.
fields. But I have a workshop that was working on my car there, building a Scott there. So
Nice.
luck should have it. It was within a driving range. I flew in the day before, I took a car down and yeah, made
Yeah.
sure that living, breathing proof that they've been actually completing it. And yeah,
Very
I'm actually
cool.
flying back on the 26th to try 29th to get it.
Of June.
Yes.
Tell me about your business and how you got started.
I did a lot of things trying to find my space and what I loved. And even though I know liked food and drinks, I never felt that I was going to end up in hospitality. So my first real connection with it was when we were looking at retirement homes and getting certified, forced me to work at a job as a waiter and get to know people. And I felt the satisfaction of influencing someone's day for the better, usually.
Yeah.
So that led me to take Dunkin' Donuts franchise for Poland. So it's coffee shops, I guess it's full hospitality, but not as intensive as a full restaurant or larger project. But once we parted ways with Dunkin', 3, 4 years later, we're looking at the next big thing. We saw that Poland is still in the back of the EU regarding disposable income spent on restaurants and bars. So we
Mhm.
knew that's going to grow. And then we were looking what's the next trend, what's new, what's happening. We went across the world to a few places, Chelsea Market in Manhattan. We were in Asia in a few places. We were in Lisbon, the time out there, and that was really the key. And Food Holland in Amsterdam, and then you've got the Mercato Metropolitano in London and Curb, and just started maybe not taking off, but seeing how everyone's doing food halls to some extent. We knew we wanted to do it as well. So we designed one. And while that was being built that was being restored, we found an opportunity to do one in the north. And that was our pilot project. That's how we got into food halls and yeah, fully into the passion. And we span off we've bar operations and a few restaurants, and we got into the catering business a little bit as well, and opened a fine dining restaurant. So trying to collect all the different forms of hospitality to see which ones we are most comfortable and the best at.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
currently, so Full
fun.
House Group, how many food halls do you run versus other types of venues?
So we run 2 food halls, quite larger ones. The Food Town, which is our one in the capital, is 3,500 square meters, so like 35,000 square feet. And the second one in Gdańsk is 27,000 square feet. So,
Okay.
so a little bit smaller, but still quite on the larger side. And then compared to that, we run about 22 bars, 9 of which are within the food halls. But as we grew, we really expanded that expertise, and I have an amazing team running it. So we basically were asked to participate in other projects to run their bars,
Yeah.
to elevate their operations. However, we have one, two, three, four, five restaurants under management. 3 are ours, but we also operate 2 more for investors. We have 2 live music cocktail clubs, one in Warsaw, one in Prague, in the Czech Republic. We opened in January, and then we have 1 catering operation, and we run a boutique cinema as well with a
My goodness.
cocktail bar. So it's become quite a group.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we just opened one bar, restaurant kind of concept, but street food kind of style concept in May. Just forgot about that one.
Wow.
So
So, oh my goodness, one of the questions that I had was like, what are the key trends that you're seeing here in the US? We spend a lot of time talking about guest experience trends and how important it is to create experiences versus just serving people food and beverage. What are your thoughts? Running all these different venue types, what are the key
well,
trends you care about?
I think experience is the number one thing nowadays, especially. Trends that we're seeing, cost of everything is going up for the operator, but also for our guests. Unfortunately, that's causing it to become less accessible or not limits how many times you can go. Regarding trends, we also see obviously the slowdown in alcohol sales, which has an influence on the margin. Because as an operator for a food hall, that we subsidize live music every day in Warsaw, and we do, I think, 3 or 4 nights in Gdańsk, but we do a bunch of events and marketing around everything. So we subsidize that from the alcohol sales, which are dropping, but we are seeing non-alcoholic elements rising steadily. I think, let me get into it, but I think that has consequences in itself. And I think that we are looking at a very dangerous or worse moment where people stop socializing, and alcohol was always like a social lubricant, I think, and it gave you courage and it gave you usually a good time. So I
Yeah.
think that will influence in a big part how society functions, especially with all this remote work and being behind the computer all the time and people having less courage to meet other people.
Yeah.
So that's on a social level trend that I am particularly interested in, but also a little afraid of the consequences. Although I think everything goes up and down, and
Yeah.
so we'll see how when things turn around, when people are enough being healthy or over healthy.
Yeah.
But I think back to day-to-day operations, I think giving an experience, and nowadays just giving good food and good drinks is not enough. I
Right.
think that's something that we've been doing for the last few years, and I think we're ahead of the curve in that regard because we have live music every single day. It's different on each day. It has its own each day has its own cycle and different artists, and we've supplemented with different other programming methods with from cocktail workshops to quizzes to charity events, all these all these things just to have our guests have a reason to come back to us and
Yeah.
experience us in a new light. And what I particularly love about food halls is that it's a concept for everyone in the sense that you can position them, of course, more mainstream, cheaper, more expensive. But in the end, you can come alone, you can come with a friend, you can come with 20 friends, you can come with your family, your relatives, your partners, your parents, and just to show and just have a meal together or a drink, and anyone can bring any food they want, any drink they want. They can listen to the music or they can be farther away from the music. So it's very complementary to the social aspect. And I think that's one of the beauties behind it.
Yeah. So it's
Like,
interesting. I'll take a step back where you're talking about alcohol as a social lubricant. I don't know if
mhm.
you spent any time with our CEO, Tim, because that's something that he's talked a lot about. I don't know if that came up in your conversation.
I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
no,
so what,
not that side.
no, I think the point that you're making, which I actually hadn't connected, is when you remove that social lubricant, you need to create some other mechanism to get people to feel comfortable to connect with one another.
Yes. And it's not easy to find. I did talk to Tim a little bit about it because I focused on honesty between cards and how it's getting closed the days till and all that. But I think it's not easy to find replacements for it. You have these morning raves happening, and okay, that's fun to some extent for some sort of people, but not everyone wants to get up early in the morning and listen to techno
Yeah,
and
I think that I
their
did.
coffee or their
That's
matcha.
completely new to me.
So I think we're trying to find other ways to do it, like having date nights or how do you call those? Social meetups, let's say, in different forms where either your friend introduces it's a wingman night and,
Yeah,
girls and boys bring their friends and basically sell the perks of that friend to others in the event and or just giving just we doing Uno night and
yeah,
bingo and other places that you can activate and loosen them up a little bit. Even without alcohol, then alcohol doesn't have to be a must, but it definitely needs to be even more interesting or fun or somehow active. And there's so many different ways to do it. So it's interesting to see which would work. And
yeah,
I'm guessing each community has maybe a different thing that may work.
yeah. I think it's interesting that you bring up something that I, over the years, understood about breweries. For example, they think of themselves as people that make beer, but really they're the best marketers out there. Because if
Mhm.
you think about it,
Yeah.
their product is almost indistinguishable for somebody who's not like a beer enthusiast, but it's the brand and that what connection that they create with the community. And so it just occurs to me that you spend a lot of time thinking about your customers and
Totally.
what it's gonna outside of your venue, what it's gonna take to
Yeah.
get them to come.
Yeah, and I think that's a question everyone has to be asking themselves, just because one, there's more and more competition or similar concepts, or maybe they're not directly competing with you, but for example, as you guys mentioned at the conference, there's more and more food halls and other concepts opening up in secondary and third markets. So that
Yeah.
means that those people that would go into, let's say, the center of the city, are not getting there anymore because they, to some extent, have an option that is equal to, less, or better than yours, but without the drive or the commute. I think that for especially in the States where you have larger distances or everyone's used to driving cars and it's a little easier in Europe, which is just more compact but we're seeing that as well happening, not to the level of food halls opening because they just need a little bit more traffic, but restaurants and places that are opening up in like side suburbs and
Mhm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
It's definitely a trend, and we'll see if that kind of comes around or it's to stay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The other thing I'm surprised to hear, because I obviously I live in the US, so we think the world revolves around us, and I understand that. But I didn't realize that the trend in people drinking less alcohol was universal. Have you seen it across the countries that
Hold
you've
on.
really?
Yeah, it's happening across the whole world. basically. No, I take that back a little bit because I read a study recently that India is completely head over heels into gin now and whiskey. They're like 10 years or so behind everyone in the sense that the middle class is getting actually a lot more wealthier. The whole country is getting much wealthier, and they're starting to be able to afford, let's say, some of these pleasures and luxuries. There are obviously other markets where everything's going down, but I think the West is basically having this issue. Everyone's
Yeah.
getting more health conscious, alcohol's getting scrutinized. However, in my opinion, there are other substances that are being used, marijuana that's getting legal everywhere, where it reduces the consumption quite strongly. Okay, food maybe gets up a little bit higher, but it's another drug. If you use it too much, just like alcohol, you're gonna have effects of it. Maybe less so and maybe not so extreme as with other substances, but I think that's recreational drugs that's also heavily overused at times.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. And to your point, I've been around for quite a while and I see the trends and things do come and go. And it's just a matter of thinking about how do you position yourself to be, instead of being reactive, to be proactive about whatever trends are coming or going. So, as you think about your visit here and your conversation with the food hall operators here, was there anything that you found to be surprising or that you could take back and use at home?
I think there's a, an approach to, let's say, effortless or contactless or that aspect where you have QR codes or other forms of ordering food that doesn't necessarily require a human being. I think that is a trend that I am hesitant to accept in the sense that hospitality is always about that interaction. You could always upsell something, or you just make someone else's day much nicer. As of course, it's human based, so you don't always get the best experience of it. And I know there's statistics in the States and in the UK that QR code, for example, ordering or one general ordering application with runners that bring you food and whatnot increases revenue. But I think it also takes away a little bit of the experience. However, I think a hybrid system, which you can use it if you want, or maybe you'll do your first order in person, and then when you're sitting there, you're like, "Oh, I'll order another drink." When I
Yeah.
think that makes it work a lot better, especially at peak times
Mhm.
when you don't want to leave your space because someone's going to take it, or you don't have friends around to safeguard it. Or you're just caught up in the conversation and you just want another drink, but you don't want to lose out. So open up the app, you get your order, and I think that is the best aspect of that solution. So in Poland, it's not a very popular thing, so we're going to be testing it. But I know 90% of the UK is working on those things, so it's coming. So we might
Yeah.
as well get used to it.
Okay,
But
so
I
then let's talk about the flip side of that. So operating where you do and having the experiences that you had and you came here and you saw the way and listened to the way we think about it. What can the US food hall operators learn from what's being done in Europe?
I think the programming and live music, I think we have to maybe not fight, but I think we have to convince and get our guests to come a little bit more. It's a little less natural. It's also been less in the market as a trend. Less people don't know it that yet. I think that's something that they should see. On the other hand, we've been very strong with the cocktail beverages. And I think I also heard at the conference that not everyone's bar program is that high end. I know there's a lot of the self pouring beer walls. We have one and it's great, but it's with the beer wall ambassadors that everyone's saying that they have. And I think that's great because I think we were debating about hosts and how to get people that are okay, making sure that no minor is going to be drinking beer, have an extra way of enticing the guest to have a good time or just to chat them up and elevate their experience. I think that's something that we can take from you guys. On the other hand, just elevating that whole aspect. The food has to be obviously good. On the other hand, the bar offer should be great, and it should also include the non-alcoholics, obviously now. And but apart from that, I think it's really the live music. It's not one day of the week. It should be relatively as often as you can, just so that you're open to new groups of people. And as they're community based more and more,
Yeah.
you're starting to be the YMCA of, the
Yeah.
area. So why not program to have a space that you could use for other things, for example, or be open to having book readings during the
Oh, yeah.
day for kids or whatnot. And kids also are pulled for the weekends, so that we have to be open to all those aspects.
So it sounds like, okay, so if you have a different acts every day, how many acts do you have per year? Like if you had to estimate.
Oh, probably at least 360.
Oh my goodness.
I think
And
we close. I think we close maybe 3 days a year, something like that.
how do you program that? Who does that for you?
It was a little hit and miss at the very beginning, but we recruited a DJ that was very much more inspired to manage and find new talent. So also with a calling a little bit. So we have basically through trial and error created these different types of music in general for each day. So for example, Wednesday we have jam session, but it's a curated jam session in the sense that the drummer is always the same, but it's also his extended network, and it also you start out at a certain level, and because of that, you don't get a lot of beginners. It's
Yeah.
usually people that already have some skill and take that advantage to promote within their peers because a lot of people come for it and it's free. A lot of artists and even famous ones have potentially have come and been able to join these jam sessions just because no one expects,
Yeah.
publicity from it or anything like that. So I think that opens up and gives kids and the musicians and anyone that really has some music flair to participate. But we signed up with a label actually to promote on Tuesdays new rising stars that they have in their portfolio. They help us with extra marketing that they do on that side. On the other hand, we give them stage and access to our guests, and that is a fun aspect and a way to approach that as well. We've done things with other sponsors like Bacardi, our alcohol sponsor, where we did different hip hop tournaments to try and to find who's the best musician and rappers and all years as well. And on blues night, we have a tap dancing guy that joins in, and we try
Oh,
and do with some live music as well. Surprise elements every once in a
yeah.
while. It's a lot of
I
fun.
would say I think this is probably the best idea I've heard all year because it solves a lot of problems. Wh- One of them, which is why would I show up, and how do you get somebody like I'll give you an example. My daughter is 32. She goes out by herself. She'll just go out downtown to a
Yeah.
club and go out by herself. She's probably the only 32-year-old in our
Good.
because people don't usually wanna do that, but she was an only
Yeah.
child for a very long time,
Yeah.
so she knows how
I'd
to be
imagine.
alone. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know how to be alone, but
Yeah.
give them a reason to show up. I think that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great and it also builds community, which is another big part
Yes.
of
Yeah.
keeping people
And
connected.
you'd be surprised how many the different age gaps. It's so we kind of position ourselves, let's say 25 plus, but depending on the night, you can get people that are around their 30s, but you can get people that are close to 50 and sometimes both of them are partaking and having the same fun time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting how music has no age bias,
Yeah. No,
which is amazing as well.
it's a brilliant idea. And that I think is a really good kind of thing to think about. What would that look like in the US? Because some venues do that. They
Mhm.
do music, but I don't know of one venue that does music every day of the year. That's huge.
I think that's something that I listened and I heard that they've got maybe music on Thursday or on Friday. They do maybe something for kids on Sunday. But what about the rest of the week? How are you activating all those? I think the States have a huge opportunity because there's a lot of music talent and it's just a huge population as well. And it's been ingrained in the population for so long. Either if you go down to New Orleans or you go down to Nashville,
Yeah.
New York, all these Chicago, all these places have their own music, how do you say?
It's like their own culture or their own kind of music vibe. They have their own
Yeah.
kind of vibe. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
exactly, and they basically bring people into that area, and you can always and live music in bars and everything is very popular. It's a big pool, and I think that getting the right sound system set, all the little some lighting and whatnot, it's not you could do it within a budget and still be able to have a quality experience for your guests and just use the local talent. I think that's the beauty of it, and if you can swing it or find sponsoring stuff to see if you can get some a little more known ones as well. And if people understand that that venue supports musicians, then they'll start coming by themselves.
Yeah. And
Uh,
do you see any trends in number of return visitors? Can you track how many of your visitors are coming back?
Not yet, in the sense that from a visual point of view, I see the regulars. We do have like traffic flow counters, so we know how many people go through the food hall and whatnot, but we don't have a system that registers returners. However, we are working on a loyalty app that would allow us to do that. And yeah, just from a visual, we see how many people. All our bartenders have regulars. We see a lot of people coming through, but it is very nice to see when someone does come back and they like it, enjoy it. I actually had a meeting earlier today with a couple, and they were saying that they love coming to Food Town because their two kids just the moment they enter, just disappear and reappear with their own little beepers and whatnot, and everyone has something else to eat, and they're super happy because the kids do it themselves, and
Yeah. That's
so
awesome. We're about to wrap up. I want to let you know we are planning next year's Food Hall Conference. It's going to be in Colorado. Date
Denver?
is close to Denver.
Okay.
I'm going to get the details. I am working out the contract now, but it'll be in March in Colorado. Everybody here wanted to go to Colorado because of the skiing. I think probably.
Oh, yeah. Alright, I'm bringing my skis then.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And we would love
Count
to
me
have
in.
you. We would love to have you back. And we could build a whole panel around you. I think you've got so many insights.
I've been doing food halls for about 7 years now, so we just had a 7-year reunion anniversary in the northern one. In Gdańsk. But yeah, with the tracking and everything, probably 8 or 9. So not
Yeah.
shy from the start of the whole
Yeah.
movement. And I think, sure, I'm happy to give insights on what we're doing over here. And I'm happy to host if anyone decides. I think Warsaw's great in that regard to see. And we have 3 or 4 food halls. So in a 2 million, 2.5 million population city. So there's a few. Either way, I'm super happy and count me in. I'm definitely gonna fly over, so happy
Oh, we
to.
would love that
Sure.
so much. So, Michael, thank you so much. Before we close up, is there anything you want, like, where can people reach you? What you've got planned next? Do you want to share?
Sure. In either WhatsApp, which is the easiest way, and to catch me, but email as well. I have a LinkedIn, but I have to say that I am not the best at updating that or being on it. I think it's the new Facebook for our generations, and I haven't had the courage to quite get dragged into that. But I'm there. It's easy to find me through that. What we're doing now, we opened the live music club in Prague, and that's a little bit of our focus to try and get that up and running to the standard that we have here. But we're also looking for a new place for food halls, so we have a few conversations open regarding a place in Berlin. Looked at a few things in Vienna, so always keeping an eye. Maybe something in the Scandics. We'll see.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
think
I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much. It's been really a pleasure talking to you.
no, it's great. It was great to catch up, and I really appreciate what you guys have been doing. I think you've been a fantastic job, and I think the conference was great. I really enjoyed it. I think there's so much material that we could probably spend another day or two. So maybe a 2-day one next year would be a fun way
Yeah.
to tie everything in.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much. I guess I'll let you know as soon as it goes live, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No problem. If you need anything, Patricia, let me know. All right.
I will. All
I'm
right.
around.
Okay,
Cool.
take care.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.